Welcome to the Live Wildly podcast, a space where we explore how to live our wildest expressions while nourishing our hearts. Here we come together to share about our life paths, authentic expressions, and heart's wisdom with one another. We cover all things motherhood, spirituality, adventure, health and wellness, and more. I'm your host, Olivia Ashley, a mama, intuitive, and seeker of a joyful, inspired life. Let's dare to live wildly together. Hello and welcome back to another week to the Live Wildly podcast. I'm so happy you are here and you are listening. And today I'm going to share a little bit about how I have created a life that is truly aligned with my values, with my unique self that supports my wholeness, my health. And I'm not saying that my life is perfect by any means, and I'm not saying that I have it all figured out. However, this last week or so, I have had a handful of friends, colleagues, clients come forward and say, "Hey, wow, I'm so amazed by you. How do you do all this? You seem so together, so confident. You have so much grace." I mean, just giving me the most amazing compliments that are heartfelt. But it made me reflect that what I've created for myself took a lot of effort, took a lot of time. It's still not perfect, and that's what I always reflect back. However, I truly feel so grounded, balanced, whole, like I know what I'm going for. And I've gotten really clear on the life I'm wanting and that I am creating, and I can just feel it. And I think others feel that, and especially women. It's all been women, mothers, friends who are wanting or yearning for this balance, for this wholeness, for their unique life to come forward. And I think I am able to reflect some of those pieces back with how I am. But I took over a decade, if not a lifetime, to get to this place. And that is something I want to talk about today, because I think we all deserve our most unique, full, grandest life, whatever that looks like, whatever that means for you. And that could be really simple, or that could be really big and full. You know, we all have that dance to make. But I'm seeing and hearing that there are a lot of you out there. And if this is coming up in my life, I know that this is meant to come forward on this podcast, because those who are attracted to hear and to listening and to learning, we are really in this container of wanting to grow, wanting to support ourselves, be our best selves. And it's not to say that we aren't those things. Wherever you are, I want you to get really clear in your body, take a breath, and just feel and honor that wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever your life looks like, you are amazing. You are whole. In this moment, you are everything that you need to be. You have everything that you need. And just ground into that knowing. And everything else that you are striving for, searching for, is on its way. And you are willing and ready and taking the steps to learn. By pressing play today, you are going to get that door open, and you're going to start attracting some of this. That is my intention for this episode, and to help you join and move forward in your path and in your unique way to create the life that you really want. So today I'm excited to just start to share some of how I've built this inner trust and this outer confidence, how I've navigated growing a family. I have 3 children. We homeschool, we raise our babies at home. I have a corporate career that I have really enjoyed, but had to navigate and pivot, which I'll talk about. I feel like I understand my passions. I know what I'm excited about, and I know what I need to do to continue that drive, that momentum, and build that. Also, my health has been, I think, better than it ever has been. I've gotten really clear on that, and that's still a journey. It's still not perfect, and I'm so far from what I would love. I still love my carbs and my sugars and my coffee, but I have done a lot of other work with herbs, with detox, to help support it. And then I think the biggest piece is really owning who I am. I am so rooted and embodied, and this is who I am. This is what I feel in my body. This is what my body looks like. I love myself. And that was something that took a really long time, but it fuels everything else in my life. So I think the biggest thing was first having to deconstruct other people's, society's, culture's expectations of me and who I thought I needed to be. To then reconfigure this box and this life and these boundaries to create the life that I truly want and to create my own unique container that truly supports me. And so while I'm going to go through and give you the examples and the tools that I feel are the key points that I made shifts in, or that really has set this foundation and these pillars for myself to get to a place where I can show up, I can be fully present, fully in the moment, fully activated in myself, in my body, in my mind and heart and spirit to pursue the life of my dreams. And I'm living that. I will say that. But every time we take that step, now you get to create a new dream and you get to create a new path and a new step, and trusting, not pushing and when and how and where will this come together, but truly just knowing that if I am in myself, taking care of myself, opening, learning, creating, shifting, asking, getting clear, setting intentions. And this sounds like so much, and yet it's just moment to moment choices, moment to moment thoughts, intentions, actions that I took that help me create and have the path that I truly know I am ready for and wanting to. But I think I see, as I reflect, I see that energetic stagnancy or that worry or that lack of self-confidence or those limiting beliefs or that unsureness, which is normal. We are grown and built and crafted as kids and babies and teenagers and then adults to say, this is the mold you should fit in. Whatever our parents wanted to show us, like all of those experiences created this self that we are now living. But that doesn't mean it's always our truest, most authentic self. And I think when we have that disconnect is where we start to get unsured. We start to escape a little bit. We maybe feel guilty and we spiral, or we get stagnant or procrastination, or we don't even trust that we are worthy of whatever it is we want, whatever that is for you and what you're working towards or wanting to create and craft. And it's simple. That's what I really want to convey today, is it really is simple. It's one thing at a time. It's one change at a time. It's one action at a time. Today I'm sitting at my mom's house and I'm with my sisters and my brother, and I have my kids, and we just went for this beautiful walk. And then my mom's tired, and I had asked her, I had one thing this whole weekend that I needed her to do was watch Stone, because he's really the only one who needs watching, and let me record this podcast because I have no other days to do it, and I want to get it out on schedule because that's what I'm accountable to and that's what I'm excited for. And so much of me felt bad and felt guilty that, oh, she's tired, she's not feeling great, and she doesn't really want to do this, I can tell. And yet I had to stay firm and say, Mom, this is the one thing I'm excited about, I want to do. I'm prepped, I'm going in my room, give me 1 hour to do it. And she did, and she's doing it. And I'm here and I'm like, yes, I'm showing up. I'm continuing this path and this momentum. So that's my example right now, is sometimes we're tested or things come in our way of it didn't look like what we thought. Or I had someone else that I thought I was going to be recording with today and they lost their voice, and that's okay. I'm trusting that this now episode is what you all need to hear this week and sets us up for when I record with her. It's even better, or it's perfect timing and it's that moment. So being flexible and shifting. And I could just harp on this, and I'm going to continue talking as I flow through today's episode about this. And I'm just here to help you know that you are so worthy. You are so full of light. Whomever you are, whatever you are showing up with, how you function, what your body looks like, what you do in your day, what your values are yours, and own it. You don't need to be like me. You don't need to follow my path. But I think as a human, there's a lot of these similar archetypes and similar lessons and similar pieces that we get to choose that each of us can reflect on and say, oh, that's what I'm missing, or that is what I need to focus on. And that's my hope for today. So as I reflect on life, I keep getting this vision of life is like this journey of ascent. We are ascending this mountain, and I'm just so into the mountains, and I'm a mountain girl. So this is what I'm getting shown. And that life is this kind of, we're born and we are open into this mountain range. So maybe we're on the plains or on a smaller little hill, but life is this journey of ascent up and down these mountains through this mountain range to get to the other side. And that other side is the completion of this life. And so I like this because it's not showing that, okay, I'm just going to reach this one mountain and that's my big goal. And then once I get it, life's done and I've achieved everything. And it's just going to be easy, or, once I get my right mindset, like I'm just going to keep ascending and life's going to be good. And it's just not the reality. If you're here, you know that this isn't the reality. So it's this journey of ascending one mountain peak and then maybe stumbling, and maybe there's a storm. And so you have to wait. And your timeline that you think it is isn't what it actually is. And it takes a little bit longer, and you reach that mountaintop and you've like ascended and you're like, I've made it to this first spot. But then you keep growing and your body keeps shifting and you have new challenges and new dreams and new goals. And so you need to go down this peak and up the next. And then you're going to rest, and a change of season's going to happen, and you're going to go back down, and you're going to come up, and you're going to stop, and you're going to do this. And this is the dance of life. And so that is what I see as the journey of life. And I use the word ascend. Ascent of our life is the word that keeps coming up. So having this in our mind as we reflect on the ultimate meaning of life, not that that provides meaning, but it provides a vision to myself to say, the journey is never end until this body is done. And then that journey of what I'm here and what I've created is done. And so I have many mountains to climb. I have many places to stop and accept and reflect or slow down, or maybe I have to backtrack and then go another route and learn. And that's what I've learned so far in this life. And it's kind of brought this acceptance to me. I used to really push and feel negative and struggle with the discomfort that life brought and my place in life, and the feelings inside didn't always match what was outside. And I didn't know how to navigate that or express my inner self or my power. And especially as we're kids and teenagers, right? We are constricted. We are under the control of our parents, our family, and that continues for a long time of our life. And that's a big journey and dance and lesson in itself. But once I started to understand that I'm a lot more in control than I think, and that there are just peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows, it kind of let me release the reins and say, I am co-creating this life with spirit, with the universe, with myself, with my family, my friends, my community. There's so many people within my work, but I am okay wherever I am. Getting really able to trust the seasons of my life as a new mom of 3. I'm 1 year postpartum, and having to learn my body, learn how does work, learn how do I leave the baby and record a podcast or go to a yoga class or see a friend, and how do I have a family that feels whole and healthy, and navigating the 2 older kids and what their needs and my husband needs and my dog's needs and everyone else's needs, but also always coming back to, most important, we need to bring that main character energy into our life. We are first and foremost. We can only give from the well of ourselves. So how are you filling your cup? How do you make sure your well is full and stable so you have the abundance and have those rivers and streams coming in to fill your well, to continue giving as you need, and also honor the times where you need to stop or close your well for a little bit and say, I need this space. I need to learn. I need to clean out. I need to do a detox. I need to, take care of, like, something is polluted coming into my life and that needs to be cut. And where are these boundaries? So it all kind of comes into this. And one of the first lessons that I learned that really helped me navigate my trajectory and give me something to work towards, or have a container that says, this is my unique box. I get to change it. It doesn't have to be what I thought it was or what I was told it was. was getting clear on my values. That is, I think, one of the first things anyone should do. If you haven't thought about what your values are, or maybe you have a sense, take a few minutes to just write down 3 to 5 words that encompass what your values are right now, noting that they will most likely change. What I would have said at 22 was very different from what I say now at 31. So accepting that flexibility and the change of the seasons and where you're at, and always just coming back to these. But for me, my values are family. So I homeschool. So I raise my babies at home. I spend a lot of time at home. I'm a Cancer sun. And so I nurture, I clean, I create this beautiful life. And I like beauty. I like stability, comfort. And so how I dress, how I create my house, how I do my routine is really to support our family. And that includes myself, my husband, my kids, my dog, and I'd say even my close family and friends, right? They are really a part of this home, this family container. So once I knew that, I was able to also shift things in my work, such as being remote, creating healthy boundaries, advocating for myself, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. So family for me was one. Health would be the second. If I'm not healthy, I am not wealthy, right? In any way. Truly, health is wealth and nature is medicine. Food is medicine. And so learning, I have learned so much, and I will still continue to learn so much this last decade. And that became such a priority though. But that was fueled because I felt so sick for so long. When I started to change things that helped me, so being organic food, being aware of toxins in my life, so skincare, fragrances, laundry detergents, the fabrics that we use, cotton, like whole fabrics versus synthetic fabrics. I mean, this is a whole list. Plastics, just what we are exposed to externally, but then in water, clean water, and then also internally, what we're putting in our body is so important. And there's so much good knowledge out there. I've really loved Darren. I can't think of his last name. O'Lannon or something. Darren had just come out with a book that I will link below. And he was on Zac Efron's show. It was Darren and Zac on the Netflix show, which I can't remember the names of. And this is where I struggle. I will find it though and link it all below. But he just came out with a really good book around the focus of breaking down all these toxins, the research behind it. And he really, I love, focuses on the research and the natural and supportive solutions of how to replace or shift. And at first it can become overwhelming, but just do one thing at a time. So health, no matter what, is most important. And health is not just physical health for me. It's mental, emotional, spiritual health and balance in my life. So I've built this life that fuels my health. And that is so important. Work-life balance, all the things. Another one is legacy. So I feel like, what am I going to leave for my children? What impact am I going to have on this world? And a lot of my passions come into this. It's like legacy and my passions work together to create this beautiful container that this podcast is a part of it. I hope and have dreams to write books and be an author and be a speaker and help support other women, families, children with energy, with health, with understanding just the vastness of life and the power, the innate power that we have within ourselves. So I can help empower not only myself and family, but all of you and your families to say, how do I show up and live sustainably and live mindfully and be a functioning whole human that I did not grow up as. This whole journey has been me uncovering and learning all these new things about myself. And so legacy drives me. I just have this drive to create, but it also is fueled by this internal legacy that I know I have to be my most whole, healthy, balanced self to be able to fuel this legacy. So these values all kind of come together. And I do have a couple more, but I'll end there. So to give you the example that it's just so important to set your values because they will drive you in your life to help you uncover those next stepping stones and path that you should focus on. And the next thing that has really helped me, and I talked a little bit about this already, but getting okay with discomfort. I used to hide, I used to escape, I used to run, shut down, disassociate, all the things when I was facing discomfort in my life or unsureness or something wasn't feeling right, but I was scared to make a change or I didn't see the how. I just would shut down. I would procrastinate. All of my escapist tendencies, my defense mechanisms would come forward. And I had to get okay with the discomfort, okay with feeling the negative feelings, with feeling the pain, with feeling the challenge. And this played so much, I think, childbirth, pregnancy, all really is such a learning lesson because it takes you fully out of the driver's seat. You are just have to release and trust in your body and yourself. And then I've had 3 babies with no pain medication, water births that were just beautiful and raw. And that's what I wanted, though. That was my choice. And I knew that going in. And it probably is my biggest lesson and most sacred container that has taught me that discomfort is healthy. Discomfort, negativity, struggles, pain, this is just a part of life. And how do we accept that? How do we find true inner acceptance and then release of the guilt that can come with the discomfort or come with us wanting to live for others, feeling bad, mom guilt, right? Leaving the kids to do something for yourself. Guilt when you don't show up for someone in a certain way and then they feel bad, but that's not your guilt to have. So it was like this discomfort and guilt that were built into fueling a lot of the struggles of my life and in all roles of my life. I'd say goes across the board. So finding that true acceptance, and I had to find that for me, what that meant, as you will have to find for you or what you're struggling with in that way. And how can we be okay with the wholeness and the full variety and diversity of feelings and experiences and adventures that we have that are going to bring discomfort. Everything isn't going to be lovely, beautiful, butterflies, support, light, all the things. I can strive to create joy and I can strive to follow passions and be with friends and people who light me up in those ways. But all of those also come with tears and pain and struggles. And so that vulnerability piece has been so important. And it also, getting to an acceptance point, made me have to uncover the root of where and why I was escaping and using defense mechanisms or addictions and other coping mechanisms, I guess, to band-aid what that root pain, trauma issue was happening in my life. And so one of the biggest shifts that I have seen in just my overall health and well-being, and this is my journey, but was removing alcohol. I have been sober from alcohol since 2015. I will be completely honest. I've had like a couple glasses of alcohol here and there, especially right after I had Lily, like being like, oh, do I want to go back to this lifestyle? And every time I'd have it, it'd affirm like, no. Or my parents were like, oh, it's the holidays. Here's a glass of wine, and like would not let up. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. I'll just have it to appease you. But again, it was that lesson of, no, this isn't for me. I'm doing this to appease you and how you feel and function, to make you feel okay with your alcohol consumption. And I come from a place of no judgment. Your journey is yours. If you drink alcohol, amazing. But you need to let me not drink alcohol and note that I can still have a fun time and still be a part of this journey and social aspect. So that was a really big lesson and learning that I've had to go through. And I just feel so much better. I don't crave it. I don't want it. I don't care for it. And I can have so much fun without it. If anything, I feel so more embodied, more present when I go to a concert or go and socialize. And I can still build that wonderful feeling that alcohol used to bring for me, but then would also spiral me into other issues. And then also, the other pieces were diet. So I had a lot of binging or restrictive tendencies around my diet, especially when I was teenagers into my early 20s. And getting to a place where I trust myself to eat and I trust that what I've bought is going to fuel me and I accept what I choose to put in my body. I don't have that, okay, I'm going to binge and now I have to go work out for 3 hours to burn off this calories, and then I'm going to restrict for 10 hours and then binge because now I'm so hungry and I can't control myself, and then I'm going to go back to work out. I was in that cycle of unhealthiness and I didn't understand what health was. So that's a whole topic. Like all these could be their own topics in itself. But I bring it up because how we fuel ourselves, what we put in our body, food-wise, medicine-wise, herb-wise, everything you put in or on your body is affecting you. So getting to know and understand what works with your body, what kind of diet works for your body. We are inundated with toxins, pollution every day, no matter what. We all are getting that through our air, through our water, through just existing in the world that is the world right now. So understanding how I can lessen those, I already talked that about a little bit. So organic whole diet, understanding grass-fed meat and who's raising my meat, how they're butchered, the energy of that. And then the biggest piece recently has been supporting my liver. So I do digestive bitters from Wish Garden. I do about 7 drops before each meal. That's been huge. And then I just started this detox program that is zeolite. So 2 different zeolite, 2 to 3 times a day, and then fulvic acid and minerals that then are binders to grab that. And I swear to you, in the few weeks I've done it, I feel better. I've lost a couple pounds. I'm amazed. And I have really no side effects, but everything I've looked into it made me feel really strong that this is a good option for me. And so I'll link that below if you're curious, and then a code too if you do want to purchase that yourself so you can get a discount. And also detoxing through sauna blankets and red light and hot yoga, just being aware, and then remineralizing. So Celtic salts or true sea salt or Himalayan salt in my water or minerals in my water has been huge to really support my body. And then also herbs. So instead of just drinking tons of water and just kind of flushing everything through and not really getting deeply cellular hydrated, I select certain herbs each day that I feel like I'm working with and that support me. And I'll drink a big quart jar of those herbs each day. And so those have been the things that have really helped me. But no matter what you do, looking at your life, your diet, what you're putting in, what you're being exposed to, and starting to learn, like, is this good for me? Should I be doing this? The working group, or oh my gosh, environmental working group, I think is what it's called. Their website's really, really helpful to start to look at products and say, they've tested it, they've looked at it, what's actually in this, what's carcinogenic, what are better options. So just being aware of that. Another thing that has really fueled this inner trust and outer confidence is this willingness to learn new things. I just have a veracity to learn. I want to grow myself. I want to learn about new things. I want to expand my consciousness. I want to get stronger in my body and then just kind of get into that growth zone, right? So what are those things that you're curious about or light you up that you want to learn more about? Reading a book, finding a podcast, finding a course, and being willing to invest in yourself. It took me a long time to feel okay with investing in things that might not make money later, right? I have a yoga certification, I have a Reiki certification, I have an herbal certification, but all these things fueled me, and that was enough. And so what are your true heart's desires and passions that you want to learn? Or maybe it's you want to explore like doing pageants or explore going out for a soccer team. And I'm like giving examples that I want to do, or explore, cooking or herbs or getting into the community or leading a workshop or, whatever you want to learn, and knowing that the only thing is stopping you is you. There's so much free content out there. There's so much apps and things that can help you learn. It's just a willingness to take action. But I promise you, you won't regret it. Even if it's hard or you face some discomfort or you don't know what you're going to do with it, I promise, it is good for your brain. It's good for yourself. And it will just fuel your life in a better way and help support you. As I continue thinking about more, and this kind of goes back to uncovering the root of my like escapist tendencies or the things that I was putting into myself to just band-aid my struggles was cultivating strength in my body and a true love for my body and my freckles and myself and how I talk or how I function or whatever that is. I used to cover all of my freckles. And if you haven't seen a picture of me, so I have head to toe freckles. They're mostly like, you can't quite tell. Sometimes it just looks like a tan, but my hands are freckled, my body, every single place that has hit the sun is covered. And I was so lacking in confidence. I used to cover them with tons of makeup, have to have this really heavy foundation to cover them because they're so dark at times, especially in summer. I used to cry when I couldn't do my hair or get to a point where I look a certain way and I wouldn't want to go outside or let people see me. So I really had to get okay with my body, and I learned to love them. And that was a journey that took a lot of time. And again, motherhood and the changes of my body and just the witnessing of creating life, it was such a miracle. And then knowing that all the fat that I was gaining was going to fuel and feed my baby for that next 2 years. The acceptance of the season of life, like where I'm at in it. And then knowing that my body takes time to heal and it takes time to gain strength and muscle and feel the way I really want it to feel. And so accepting that journey and accepting where I'm at and just how do I fully, truly love who I am and stop that comparison, stop that inner critic, be your own best friend, talk yourself up, give love to yourself. It makes me think of, I keep seeing this, I think it was in Japan, the Japanese man who did these experiments where he had 3 jars of rice. And one of them, he beamed love energetically and in his thoughts, I love you, I love you, I love you. The second jar, he beamed, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And the third jar was just neutral. He didn't give it attention. He didn't think about it. And the jar that was neutral, like slowly started to ferment and mold and kind of do what you would expect with it. The one that he said, I hate you to, would get this really black mold and dark and just gross. I mean, just completely was decomposing. And the one that he said, I love you, looked normal. Like it was going through like a bit of a change in a process, but it still looked healthy and vibrant. And so I say that because what we are saying in our head and to ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. Can you just imagine what we are feeling? We are feeling cellular degeneration or our genetics to turn on or off by the way that we are thinking and going about our life or not even thinking. I mean, probably the best would be neutral if you're not going to do one or the other. But I think it just is a physical representation that you can see, whoa, the impact of it. And I know other people have done this study with plants and other things, and there is a true difference. So I say that to share and show you there is an effect that you're having, and how can you find acceptance at the very least of who you are in your body and where you are right now. And as I continue to think about what has really helped build this outer confidence and create my own unique container, it was trusting my voice and advocating for myself in every facet of my life. And I want to share that this was not a natural thing for me. I remember about 10 years ago being in a team meeting at my work, and we were going around and sharing 2 things that we really struggle with or just don't like, and then a couple things that we really love to do. And the only thing I remember is I shared very candidly, I don't like talking. I don't like being in front of people. I don't like public speaking. I don't want to raise my hand. I just want to hide. I just want to be here and everyone leave me alone. And this came, and the root of this was, I think I even said it. I used to say, I don't trust myself. I don't trust my body, and I don't trust others. That is where I was coming from. That is what I grew up feeling. I had no trust in who I was. I had no trust in my thoughts and my feelings and sharing those. And then I didn't trust others. I felt like people were out to get me, that I was extremely lonely. And it just fueled this cycle of struggle and distrust. And then I didn't know how to speak up for myself or voice what I was truly feeling. And so it took time. I started to realize that this isn't my true nature. I think I like my voice. I think I have this innate power that I'm here to share. How do I start to build this confidence? How do I start to trust that not what I say is going to be perfect or the most right thing, but it's what I had to say and it's worthy of being said? And how do I be thoughtful, a little bit more thoughtful of how I feel instead of just word vomiting or saying nothing, right? Like I was bouncing through these extremes. And so getting to build this inner confidence, this inner fire, also came from advocating for myself in my life, in my work, in my relationships. So that has just fueled this full circle healing moment of, wow, I am worthy. I'm here. I get to set boundaries, expectations, space. I get to share my needs. I get to advocate for myself and do so in a present, grounded, supportive way that's truly from my heart and an authentic place versus distrust, quieting, not raising my hand, not speaking up. And as I've started to cultivate this, I've had to push myself. So again, coming back to that growth zone, it's just, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have a voice, to have a container, to support, to do whatever. And I'd say in 2018 was the first time I had the idea of a podcast, but I was so far from ready for it. So I spent the last 5 years uncovering these blocks, uncovering the discomfort, uncovering why am I so distrustful? Why am I lacking in confidence? Why do I pick myself apart, starve myself, struggle, mentally, emotionally struggle? And I had just built and dampened all of this inside of me. I would imagine it's like you have a Kleenex box and you're just stuffing all this trash in there. Like, oh, I have nowhere else to put it, so I'm just going to stuff. And then it was exploding into these moments of outbursts and crying and struggles and shaking. Like I physically was having all these issues. So when I started to pull one tissue, one piece of garbage out that I had stuffed down at a time, I started to uncover what was truly underneath and what was my true self that I had just dampened all this shit, truthfully, all this crap on top of. And that built this confidence. And it was taking the time to raise my hand again, to speak out on something I was needing to teach on at work, or speak to my partner about something that was uncomfortable or I was struggling with. And it was in those moments that just built that momentum, that trust, the vulnerability that allowed me to start to share my voice and start to show up with this true inner confidence and this embodiment. And that really brought me to learning about the importance of the present moment, not struggling and looking backwards, not worrying and freaking out about the future and the how. How do I be here in this moment right now? So the example that I've seen, and you've probably seen it going around Instagram or TikTok, but it's this woman on this podcast that comes and is sharing the genetic and hormonal differences between men and women. And so she gives the example of, everyone's going to bed. Your partner, who's a man or whomever, the man in your life goes to bed. And yes, they might think about things or plan for the day, especially if something big is coming up. But usually they'll just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And now I'm just going to turn my brain off and go to bed. And the women, we're hardwired. And then we're, I think, culturally more anxious and more the burdens on us to take care of everything and make sure everything's okay, that we try to go to bed, but then our brain starts kicking on. And did I do the laundry? Did I fold the kids' clothes? Am I ready for tomorrow? And how's that? Where am I going to get my food? And what route am I taking? And oh, is my clothes picked out? And oh, well, how am I going to pair with this? And just spirals and goes and goes and goes. And I have that tendency. I am highly manic. My brother, who is a medical doctor, even just recently was like, do you think you're bipolar? He's like, you seem to really function through these really high highs and these manic moments to like these low lows. And I would say possibly, but I would never, again, I don't like labels. I'm not going to label myself, but it represents in a very true way of these cycles that I flip through. And I'm hyper manic. I'm hyper anxious. I am hyper organized to a point where I'm so scattered because I try to be so on point that I struggle. And it almost like it backfires. And so I've really tried to instill moments of moving my body to try to shift that energy out, get rid of it, don't get stagnant. so I can then also become more mindful. And so mindfulness practices and taking little moments of time for myself to be in the present moment, because that's where the true magic lies. Whatever you're working on in this moment, in this time, is all that really matters. Take a breath. Focus in. Maybe write it all out. I love making lists. I work in a planner, however that works for you, whether you're into technology or actually pen to paper. Have space to dump it all out, to reflect, to journal. Journaling has been, since I was in 5th grade and got my first journal, I've never not had a journal, and I adore them. I try to go one page. I'm going to write one page about whatever comes forward. Sometimes I love doing a more pointed journal or doing automatic writing. So it could be my highest self, inner self inspiration writing. So channeling my inner self and just what needs to come through. What do I need to learn about? Sometimes it's leaning on a guide or a loved one, but just journaling or having the space to just dump. Sometimes we just need to release everything. It lets us reset. It gives us this moment. And then I also try to do a little bit of breath work, a little bit of meditation. But for me, I just have not ever been able to be as consistent as I should or want to be, because it really does help. But putting it in as I can, and then also building a little routine in the morning and a little routine at night. So how do I start my day? How do I end my day? And that really helps me just stay present. Another really, really big thing, which if you've been a long time listener of this podcast, aka like the 7 months that I've had this podcast, the biggest thing for me was intuitive confidence, trusting my gut, because that is what has fueled and given me the framework and led me to where and what is right for me. And trusting my gut as a mother, trusting my gut as an individual, trusting my gut as a partner, whatever that is, building intuitive confidence, building and having intuitive practices, having tools for myself that I can lean on to help me get guidance, get assurance. So that would be the Akashic Records, which I do have an episode about just the Akashic Records and my path with that, which covers a little bit more. And I have a hard time explaining it because it's such a feeling experience for me. But essentially it's going into my self. So just closing your eyes, shutting down. I align my body, I clear my aura, I set intention, and I reach for the energetic space that is the Akashic Records to gain guidance from that external party, because sometimes I distrust my intuitive voice, or maybe I feel like I can't get or see that path. And it is past, present, future, all things, all energetic imprint and records of yourself in this space and time that you can reach and access. And there's a lot of great books of how to learn. I'm thinking of maybe even doing a little mastermind where I will bring you all in and teach you about it and lead you through a session to access the Akashic Records. So if you're interested, let me know and I will get on that and put that together. But that has just been a very, very, very supportive tool that is just full of love, full of support. I never get anything really scary. It just uncovers the truth, gives me reassurance, support from a space that I just have never experienced. And once you go into the records or have a record reading, you'll understand what I mean by this. Not everyone needs to do this, but this has been my path and something that I advocate for as a really, really supportive container. And I think it truly helps build your intuitive powers and your clairs. So your senses, whether you're hearing, you're feeling, you're knowing, you're tasting, you're sensing, all of those clairs, you get to distinguish and start to build. And I just find that it's fun. It builds my curiosity. Another one with intuitive confidence would be the pendulum. So working with, that's the crystal on the end of a string, usually a metal string. And then you see people that it's circling, right? The energy circling. And this is such a fascinating area of work. And there's so many, again, wonderful books and information. And I can never remember names. Bear with me. This is just going to be the journey of us together. I have a really hard issue with recalling. My short-term memory is very bad from multiple concussions and just I have memory issues. I just do. I don't know what that is. If it's a metal issue, if it's just a damage issue, that's something I actually would love to explore and share with you all more once I learn more in time. But so I just apologize. I really, really struggle sometimes to find the right word, or I just don't remember names of things, titles of things, dates of things. I just see things in my head, or I feel things, and I can't quite always say them. But I promise I will look them up, and I'll put them in the show notes so you have at least a few resources for yourself. And so the pendulum I like, and same with Akashic Records, it's like an external support system that it goes with your gut, it goes with your intuition, but it removes that doubt. So the pendulum is used, you essentially ask yes or no questions, and then you can do little charts on your hand of percentages or time to ask more pointed questions and get a sense of the possibilities of it or the when that it might happen. I don't like to future cast as much, but this is life. We often have questions around when might something happen, or what's the best path for me. And so it's just fun. I find that it's really fun. And I also use it to clear my energy. It's really, really good to open energy, open portals, clear ground. So when I do house clearings, I'll use my pendulum. When I go into the Akashic Records, especially for other people too, I'll use my pendulum because it's creating this energy ball of sorts. It's really opening up and continuing to fuel and move and shift and clear. And it's just this wonderful, wonderful tool that I have found. And once you've set the intention and you create a relationship with your pendulum, you just pick it up and you start asking. And it's very, again, simple. Both the Akashic Records and the pendulum, while they might seem like very overwhelming, I don't know what that is, they truly are at its essence simple tools. And I don't want to limit the power that comes with it by saying simple, but I want to remove that fear, that overwhelm that you feel, oh, I'm not intuitive enough, oh, I don't have an understanding enough to use these things. Again, it's just about learning and discovering and getting curious and leaning on others who have worked with them or learned about these things and then applying it for yourself. You are capable of anything you want. If you take nothing else away today, you are capable, you are worthy, you are right on in who you are and who you should be, and trust that unique self. And if none of this sounds right for you, that's okay. But it's an invitation to go find what is right for you and what is your path and your foundations, as I've just laid out a lot of mine that have really helped shift and help create a container of, again, creation of possibility, of love, of happiness, of pain, of discomfort, but knowing that I can look at all these things and I can hold all these things, I can balance all these things, and I can show up with grace and I can show up fully embodied. And this doesn't mean that I don't have bad days or moody days or struggle days, and that I don't need to talk to my friends and go, oh, let me brain dump. Like, let me just be vulnerable and say, here's what I'm moving through. But that's what I've created and crafted because I've called for it. I used to have no friends, and I don't say that like I was weird or whatever. I used to truly have no one in my life that I felt was fully there for me. If they were there, it was because they wanted something or they needed something. And I felt like there was no one who was truly, fully capable of just loving me for who I am, trusting my weirdness or my quirks, and loving the full embodiment of myself. My husband was one of the first people that came into my life and truly reflected that to me. He's my bestest friend. He is my rock. He has grown with me and allowed me the space to do it. It's a huge piece of why I love him and I love our relationship, and we are just so strong. It's because he was that first time pulled me out of this state of loneliness, out of this state of darkness, and said, I see you and you are worthy. And you were here and I got you. And I want to be that for you. This podcast is this is the container to help build you up, find your people, explore these things that sometimes we don't want to share, we don't understand, or we're scared to because now people are going to hear this and they're going to judge me, or they're going to hate me, or whatever that is. But when I finally said enough's enough, And I want this type of friendship. I want women around me who are my sisters, and I want men around me who can reflect strength and stability or empowerment in different ways, like that masculine, that feminine, and the divine, and all of this, it's like I was starting to weave this magic tapestry of life for myself. And that's what I hope I can start to feel you. If I can give you that needle and thread and say, here, what's your path? What do you need right now? How can you start to stitch up the holes, create something new, whatever that is, to fuel you to get to a place where you too can have all of what you see in myself or in others that you look up to, that expand you. That I love Lacey Phillips' To Be Magnetic work, because that was a huge piece to uncover in my mind, the struggles that I was looping, the things that I was struggling or felt like I didn't have enough on, to reset, reconnect, reground myself and say, no, I'm going to heal that. I see that root, I see that hurt, and here's what I really need. And I'm going to do that all in this space. And her work it's so beautiful. I highly, highly recommend at least go listen to her podcast and just get a sense. It's all around manifesting and creating, but that's what we're doing. That is, I think, us in this 3D earth. Well, I hope and believe we're moving into 4D and 5D, and that's the dimensions of sorts, but we're still going to be human. We're still going to be in these physical bodies. We're still going to be faced with this solid reality and these emotions and this flux, because this is a dualistic world that we are in. But you're capable of getting the tools and getting the pieces to weave the magic and manifesting and creation. That is what we're here to learn, because once we truly understand and surrender to the nature of this reality, the world is our true oyster. I am going to create my grandest, most incredible life for me, and I'm going to have struggles and things won't work out how I think they will, but they're going to work out even better or in a different way. And I trust and I feel that, and I'm opening to that. So I hope you're here for it. I hope you too feel ready, or like you just needed that next piece to say, what is that piece I can work on right now on myself, whether it's my health, my values, setting values, trusting your voice, loving your body, getting more present, advocating for self in your life and your work, creating a life that you really need and will support you, because this is about you, and going from there. So I'll leave you with, what box do you think you need to fit in? And what is the box that you really want to be in? And it doesn't have to be a box. I use that because I think we can all understand that. But I'm going to create like a planet. Like, I want to be in this other realm. I want to create my dream world. I want to mine's not even a box. I blew that open. I am unbounding. My boundaries are set though, and that's important. And I'm present, and I'm here, and I'm in my heart, and I'm navigating. And you can too. If you're here, you're already doing it, I'm sure. So I hope that helps you. I hope that you can continue the ascent in your life, wherever, however you are, whatever season you're in. Find that acceptance and just create your unique life. Live wildly in whatever way that means for you. And that doesn't mean you need to be huge and have the biggest thing or the biggest platform and make all the money. Like, that's not always it. It's what authentically in your heart wants to be expressed, wants to be felt, and what kind of life do you want to lead? That's what live wildly means. That is why I'm here. That is what drives me. That is my health, my wellness, my legacy, my abundance, my beauty, my container of life, my family. That's what live wildly means to me, is expressing my true authenticity through those. So set your values, check in with yourself, and create the box, the circle, the whatever that is, the planet, the dream, whatever it is for you. You are capable and you're doing it. So I hope you live wildly in your own unique way, and I want to hear all about it. So please let me know what this brings up for you, what it motivates you to start to look at, to learn about, to change, or just to be. Maybe this is just a reassurance that you're doing it. Like, you've done all these and you're like, heck yeah, I get it. or I'm very similar but different in different ways, but you can relate and just check in. And I hope it affirms or motivates you to just live your best life, however that is. Be full, be happy, be present. And I'm sending you all the love. Thank you for showing up for yourself, for wanting to learn and be whoever you are. So thank you for being you. I will talk to you in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful rest of your day and continue to find and live your wildest life. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Live Wildly podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It goes a long way to helping gain new listeners and fills my heart to see your reviews every time it comes through. It just keeps me inspired and going on this journey. And if you'd like to learn more or follow Olivia further, you can check me out at www.olivia-ashley.com. And just there's a lot there that you can check out, and you can learn more about the podcast episodes. You can also follow along on Instagram at Wildly Olivia or at Live Wildly Podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you listeners, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again.